And after that incident where I attacked her boyfriend,
Not you threw them hands, like.
I literally snapped. Like that's
Mm.
why the show Snap. No, that's not. That show needs to be called
I
premeditated.
got
Because
a whole,
literally a whole family of haters. I got well. I don't dwell.
which means you all
Yeah,
that.
but I don't. Oh, I don't understand people. My haters is this for all my. I don't forget my haters.
I
I
love
got so
having
many
haters.
people who love. I was able to forgive my father for his shortcomings, but for some reason I can't do it with my mother. So
Let me tell you how I know that's the truth, because I had a man who who before we got married called my phone and asked for the other woman. That if that wasn't, that flag was on fire. Do you hear me burning hot red? That thing.
I've ignored red flags, sirens, flashing lights.
I love, because he was like Jekyll and Hyde, right? He would be everybody loved him sober, and then as soon as he got drunk, everybody wanted to fight him. Everybody wanted to kill him. You know what I mean? He was that dude.
But my
So,
view on the best way to break a generational curse is to not have another generation.
oh wow.
I'm about to set you free. You are not the problem. See, there's a very clear path from your experiences to your reality. Our experiences travel from our hearts to our thoughts to our actions and words. Words that have power. Power to create reality. But here's the secret. Reality is changeable when you change your heart.
Hello, beautiful ones, and welcome to the Melanin Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Naila Mawusi. Thank you for tuning in. And since everything we do is based on healing hearts, I'm going to help you start your first journey, the first part of your journey to healing your heart, which is getting over your commitment issues. Going ahead and hitting that subscribe button for me. Also, don't forget to hit that ding so you don't miss out when we upload. So today, we decided to do an outdoor shoot since we still have a couple more warm days left. And luckily, I have here with me um, a woman who is a health expert. She is a licensed LBSW and she has her master's in human resources. Please help me welcome the beautiful and awesome Miss Marita Wright. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great and happy to be here, and so happy that you decided to join me. It is an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to delve deep into this today. It's going to get real.
Okay.
All right. So I just want to explain to you and to our guests, since the podcast is new, that everything we do here is based on a process that I call the REAL. And REAL is an acronym, meaning realize, evaluate, address, and let it go. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. And that's what we'll be doing on every episode coming up. So today's topic is abandonment issues. Whew. Wow. What you think about that?
Yeah, still trying to get over mine.
Aren't we all? Yeah, abandonment is a hard thing to overcome. So what we did was my producers and I put together a list of some of the most known, or most common, I should say, symptoms related to abandonment issues. There were a ton of them, but we just narrowed it down to 5. So we're going to be doing not enough, or not feeling that you're worthy. Also, addiction, people pleasing, trust issues, and desperation. So let's delve on into it, Marita.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you, and then I'll answer too, because I don't want you to feel like I'm just bombarding you with questions. So when did you first realize that you even had abandonment issues?
Probably once I started my studies to become a social worker. It helped me realize a lot about myself and a lot about people in my family, like learning about different disorders and illnesses and things like that. I'm like, this sounds like so and so, or that sounds like me. So yeah, but I've had trust issues since I was young. Even just just never knowing who you can trust. When you a kid, you tell your friends something, and they go tell somebody they weren't supposed to, and that happened to me a lot.
Mm.
And I just never really felt like I could trust anybody. So
Yeah.
it is people like think that I'm open, but the stuff that I don't share, like I was people think they have no idea. There's so much that I don't open up about and that I don't share. That's one of the reasons why I agreed to do this podcast, because a lot of things people, because my abandonment issues stem from my mother, and
Okay.
people just think I just have this resentment for her towards no reason, because even though she lived there, she still in a way abandoned me. She was never there for me. She started leaving me home alone, unsupervised, from the time I was 3 years old up until I started school. Then of course I wasn't home alone because I had to go to school.
Wow.
I could be sick, didn't matter. She was off doing her thing. It was like I was never first. I was never um important. So that's part of the not feeling good enough came, because everything, everybody else was more important than I was. And then during the pandemic, me being isolated, I'm single, I don't have kids, I live alone.
Mhm.
um that isolation triggered me and just
Wow.
took me back, and it just started flooding all these memories. And that's why now I'm working on trying to get over it, because it's a load that I've been carrying for all my life, and I'm just ready to release it.
Yeah, and that's good. What you were describing, I like to call it present absence.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people who have been through that. Actually, some people really close to me who have been through the present absence. And it's funny how the pandemic did open up things for a whole lot of people,
Mhm.
because life just kind of slowed down. And you just had to face things that you normally wouldn't face because you're so busy and moving and going.
Mhm.
And so I think that either triggered people to seek healing
Mhm.
or do the opposite, which wasn't good. But for me, my abandonment issues are stem from my father.
Mhm.
Him and my mom broke up when I was 5 years old, so that made my brother around 2. And then from that point, he would not come pick. He would say he's coming to get us, right? And we would be all excited and anticipating him getting there,
Mhm.
and then he wouldn't come, and my heart would break every time. And all I can remember is me and my brother sitting on the porch waiting for him. It could be cold, snow, whatever, and he never showed up. And so
Mhm.
I got my heart broken again and again and again. And he had his own issues. He was an alcoholic, and I'll get to, explain a little bit more in
My
depth
mother
about
was
that.
also.
Really?
Mhm.
How
Both
funny
my
is
parents
that?
were. And again, my father, he was present also, but I don't feel, at least he was there. He was home, or I could go to him, I could talk. He spent more time, so it's like they both passed on. I was able to forgive my father for his shortcomings, but for some reason I can't do it with my mother.
That is very interesting. Do you have any idea why?
Um I don't know. I
Mm,
don't know. It's like him, I can, he didn't have a father. So I was like, well, maybe he was doing the best he could, even though he had father figures.
mm-hmm.
But, my mom lost her mom when she was 11 and went to live with, my great aunt, her aunt. And I don't excuse her. I don't look at, well, you got to think, she didn't have her mom either. And her mom, from what I hear, was just like she was.
Mm,
So, that's why I think more so can't understand her. Like, how it felt when it was done to you, so why would you turn around and do the same thing? And that's actually part of the reasons that I chose not to have children, because it
mm,
seems like, from talking to relatives, it seems like it was a generational thing. Ironically, the reason that my mom went to live with her aunt was her dad's sister. Her dad was, alive, but he felt, if she's a girl, she needs a woman, But my mother's grandmother was alive, and
mm,
it's funny. My aunt that raised my mom, she died a few years. I knew her, you know, she died when I was in my 30s. She was 96. So we would have conversations, and she said the reason that how she ended up with my mom. She didn't know if my grandmother knew that she something was going to happen. She ended up having a heart attack. But
Mm,
she called her a couple weeks before she passed, and she asked her, if anything happens to me, can you take Marilyn? Because I don't want her to go to my mom, because my mom used to leave me alone.
mm,
And my grandmother used to always beg. My great grandmother, she lived till she was 90. She passed away in 1998.
mhm,
Um, I didn't meet her for the first time till I was like maybe 17. She would
mhm.
beg my mother every summer to send us down there, and my mother would never let us go. And it wasn't until a few years ago when having a conversation with my mother, and she said, I couldn't believe she said this. She said the reason she wouldn't let us go down there is because when she was little and she would go to her grandmother's house, she would leave her in the house by herself.
That's so hilarious. So so since you're a psychology student, I'm a psychology student. We know that the scientists have been battling the battle of the nature versus nurture, or nurture versus nature, however you want to put it. But in my opinion, and it is my opinion, it's very evident that we are a product of both. Like, I don't even understand why we're still doing studies about nurture versus nature.
Hmm.
We are absolutely a product of both, because I come out looking like my dad, I come out looking like my mom. So that is definitely, the nature part of it. But the nurture part of it, you can say I'm not gonna be anything like my mom or anything like my dad. And a lot of people do that, but it's inevitable. Like, it's going to affect you in some way. Either you're going to be just like them, or you're going to overcorrect, right?
Hmm.
And be so much unlike them. She could have been like that, what do they call the Asian moms, the tiger mom or whatever, where they're just like all over their
I
kids and
never heard,
never.
and I've heard of helicopter moms.
Oh,
Where you
that
like,
maybe
yeah,
that's
where
it.
you hover over your
Maybe that's
kid,
it.
yeah.
Okay, so helicopter mom, she could have overcorrected and been
Hmm.
that, or she's going to automatically repeat it because you haven't done any work, intentional work, to heal from that. So that is, and it's interesting that she doesn't see herself in that light, right?
And we had a when she and I finally had a conversation about everything, that is the one thing that she would not own up to. And I'm
Okay.
like, how can you not remember leaving me alone like every single day? How can you? She was like, I don't see it that way, and I had to stop talking about it because I had, we that conversation actually came about after I had a violent outburst.
Girl,
We're
wait
not
a minute.
gonna
I
go
might
into
need some more
that.
information.
Well, okay, I'll tell you. So, my household was very, very dysfunctional. Even though, again, I had a father in the home, my mother had a boyfriend,
Mm,
openly.
wow.
Everybody knew that. Everybody, and she would leave me to go be with him. And I had a lot of anger and resentment towards him. I went to my mother was living with my brother at the time, and I stopped by the house, and he was in my brother's house, and I literally snapped. Like, that's
Mm,
why the show Snap. No, that's not. That show needs to be called premeditated. Because when you, and it's sad to say, I will be the first. I'm going through my. I have some issues. I'm going through. I'm in therapy, going through my healing journey. But I have snapped before, and
oh,
when you
wow.
snap, it's like you don't know what's coming. It's like
Hmm.
something just takes over you. And I assaulted him,
Okay.
and the only thing that stopped me, and my mother and I, we have had physical altercations when I was in my teenage years. I was actually left home when I was 16 because I couldn't deal with her anymore. But the only thing that stopped me from beating him is she threw herself over him.
Oh, wow.
And I, for some reason, because I ain't had no trouble in the past, couldn't bring myself to hit her at that point.
Okay.
And so a couple days later, I went by and we talked, and she was like, "I never knew you hated me." I'm like, "Yeah, I did."
Oh.
I said, "I hated you. I just wish you were my mother." She would sometimes say, "One days I'm gonna walk out here and I'm gonna never come back." When I was little, I would cry. When I got older, I used to wish, like, when is that day gonna come when you just gonna leave and not come back and we can all be at peace? Because
Mm,
on top of that, she was also bipolar. She was not diagnosed, but just from my expertise, I realized now she was bipolar.
okay.
So you never knew like when she would go through her manic period, she would be up late hours of the night. Just we would all be in bed. She'd just be rambling, ranting, and raving about any and everything to nobody because we're all in the bed, blasting music. It was just it was, yeah, traumatic.
So she would be
And
having
yeah,
manic
manic
episodes.
episodes.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it's just it got to the point where I really already had like I from wanting as a kid wanting her to be there and spend more time with me to wanting like, will you please just go, like, can you please just one day just not come back. I even asked my dad, like, why didn't, because he stayed and he suffered with us, because if he gone it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
But him being there, she kept a lot of her foolishness out in the street and not bringing it home. And after that incident where I attacked her boyfriend,
Not you through them hands. Like I just can't get that's like sitting right in my head like she threw these hands. Man.
those who really know me know that I'm capable. That's when adult people be like, "Yeah, right, you ain't." I'm like, "You don't know me. You
Right.
don't know me."
Don't get it
Right,
twisted.
but I asked because she called my dad and she told him what happened, and I ended up calling my dad, and he was like, "I talked to your mother. She told me what happened," and he was like, "I don't agree with it, but I understand."
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I said, why didn't you just leave and take us? And he was like, no judge in the '80s was going to, give me custody of 3 kids. They would have given her custody and made me pay child support, and I wasn't going to leave you.
That makes so much sense and
Yeah.
it's so sad
hmm
that it does,
Cause
you
she
know.
like really, she was something else. She is a probably write a book or a screenplay or something about her one day.
It sounds like
Um,
you can.
she was verbally and emotionally abusive to everybody in the house, including him. And why he
Wow.
stayed and took so much of her crap, I don't know. He would just sit there and just not say nothing.
Wow.
And
Maybe he knew she was mentally ill, and then he knew he didn't want to leave his kids. And like you said back then,
but then it cost
absolutely.
him his mental health
Oh
because he
yeah.
started, he started suffering from depression and started drinking more heavily. And so yeah, which goes into the whole addiction thing. Like, I don't have um my addiction is shopping.
Mm,
That's my coping
that
mechanism.
used to be
Yeah,
mine.
that is my and the people, I'm like, no, shopping, it could be anything. Just buying something makes me feel good. Spending money and getting something in return, it's like
Hmm.
it's really therapeutic for me.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and and just to go back just a little bit to your dad staying there and taking it with your mom, to me that's like a lesson and a message to choose you. You
Mhm.
know, choose you. You could have figured it out some way to have a relationship with your children
Cause
and not be in the
let
crazy.
me tell you, if it was me, like, that's why I don't have an excuse. I don't excuse men who claim, oh, I don't see my kids, their mother is XYZ. Let me tell you, if my father could go through all he went through for his kids,
Exactly.
you don't have an excuse.
There's never an
Yeah.
excuse. You got to go to bat for your kids. You got to
Mhm.
go to hell and back if you have to make sure you have a relationship with your
Mhm.
kids. That's just my opinion, but yeah, that is so crazy to me. So now tell me, how do you think it manifested in your life? The abandonment part of it, because there's a whole lot going on there. But the abandonment part of it, how did that manifest itself in your life, and in like intimate relationships, like with men or with really close friends? How did
I
that?
have never had a serious relationship. I've had
Mm.
situationships,
Hmm.
but I've never had a legitimate
Is
boyfriend.
that by choice though?
Um, no, it just works out that way.
Okay, so
But
I'm big on energy. I'm big
mhm.
on energy, and the Bible says, yes, I'm a Christian. The Bible says that if you want friends, you have to show yourself friendly. And a lot of times we're giving off energy from what we've dealt with.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that, and we're gonna get to it though, the wall. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? If people see a wall, yeah, do you think that could be it?
It could be, and that's the real. Like, me being single bothers other people more than it bothers me.
Like people need to
Like,
mind their business.
yeah, like, why are you single? Let me hook you up. Have you tried? I don't want, and I like, especially right now. I need to. I need to work on me.
Right.
I have to learn to love me before I can love somebody else. And it's funny because the main thing people say, we want you to be happy, want you to be with somebody. I do not equate men in relationship with happiness.
And you
And
shouldn't.
it's yeah, it's like no
As you
happiness
shouldn't.
has to come from within. No matter he could be the greatest thing on earth. If I'm not happy, he can't be my happiness. So
No.
so that's another, I'm not really looking for a relationship right now. I never thought at this age I would be single and childless. It wasn't until a few years ago I just made a decision that I didn't want kids.
Okay.
My my doctor would not tie my tubes when I think I asked when I was like maybe 36 or so, she was like no. Um
I'm with the doctor
but
because anytime you might wake up on a random Tuesday, like, let me go down to this clinic and get this.
no. I really, and this could be just my view, my skewed view, but my view on the best way to break a generational curse is to not have another generation.
Oh
So
wow. My vision is the best way to break a generational curse is to heal my heart,
mm,
right? Because if I'm healed, then what I pour into my kids will be healed. You know
so
what
you
I
already
mean?
have kids. I don't.
Well, I wasn't healed when I had them,
Oh
and
man.
I it was a whole show. Okay, when I look back over my life, uh, yeah, my issues definitely trickle down to them, and I take so much accountability for that now. I didn't in the past, but every single thing that I've done, or every single issue that I had that affected them, I can see it in them right now
Mm-hmm.
today, and they're 31 and 27. So I also see the good stuff, but I can definitely, when they do a certain thing, oh yeah, that came from you, da 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 da, blah 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 blah, whatever. So I mean, but at the same time, they're not just horrible kids. You
Mm-hmm.
know, your mom left you at home. You're not a horrible person. You
And
get
you,
what I'm saying?
the funny thing, and I was talking to, I recently, I sat down with a friend of my dad's, and I was like, can you explain to me why he's put up with her? And he was like, we don't know. Like, even he was like, they like, we'll help you beat dude up, like, you ain't got to take this.
Right.
And they said, we don't know. He's like, we don't, I don't have an answer for you. He's like, but your father was a good man, and basically your mother tore him down. But people in neighborhood, they would gossip and talk,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like funny now because I'm like, look who's laughing now. Of all the people in our neighborhood who I know used to talk about my mother, make speculations about how they thought I was gonna turn out, we were gonna turn out. I have 2 degrees, about to start working on a third. I don't have any kids. Never made no trips to the clinic either. My brothers are doing well. They both work. Only one of them has children, and he's married. He had kids after he got, like, we're all,
Well rounded.
yeah, well rounded. Whereas the people who used to talk all the junk, your son been to jail, your daughter got a bunch of kids, and some should have had a whole bunch more, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
so funny how, are you too busy looking over in somebody else's yard? You're not paying attention to the mess that's in yours.
Exactly.
And like, that's why and they're like, oh, you turned out so good. I'm like, you didn't think I was, but look at me
Look
now.
at me now.
Right.
Look at me now. No. But yeah, I think that's interesting that you don't want to have kids, being that you are such a well-rounded individual. I feel like a kid or
I
multiple kids would be blessed
really
to have
don't,
you
I
as a
don't think
mother.
I would be a good parent. I
So
really
we're gonna
don't.
have to work on healing that.
I'm
Okay, I
43,
hear
and
you.
right now that ship is about to sink. Okay, it's right.
Not sail sink.
It's already sailed,
Not
and
even sail
it has
sink.
sailed already, and it's about to sink. I'm 43 years old, and somebody asked me if I met someone and they didn't have children, um, would I be willing to have one? I would be willing to try it for one. I would be willing if I met the right person. However, he will have to take in consideration my age,
Mhm.
and being that I have so many people in my life that who have had fertility issues,
Mm.
I'm only putting my body through so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I understand that at 43 is not
yeah.
it's not 23. I get that.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I just want to move on to being enough, because this was a big one for me. I don't know about if it was for you, but like
Hmm.
not feeling worthy, not feeling like you're enough. Was that? like a big deal for you?
It still is.
It still
It
is.
still is. Mhm.
Okay. And how does that show up though? Like,
Um, a lot of self doubt.
okay,
Like I don't think,
imposter syndrome.
yeah.
Okay.
And I remember the first time I'm like, what is imposter syndrome? That is stupid. Because when I got my degree 10 years ago, that wasn't a
A
that
thing.
wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that what is imposter syndrome? And I read, I'm like, yeah, that might be me just a little bit. I'll even with my boss, I'll call her and she'll be like, Marita, you know how to do this. I'm like, yeah, but I
Mhm.
just I just want I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Or even still, like with my dating life, I've seen excuse me, people literally turn hoes into housewives. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with me? Why
Right.
I'm out here trying to have morals. I'm a good person. I got a lot going for me. Like, how come she got somebody and I don't?
I
But yeah.
mean, listen, when you have all of that going on, all that good stuff, that narrows your dating pool like significantly.
Mhm.
Like there's only so many guys who are not going to be intimidated by who you are. But I hate that you're still going through that, but I understand it because I've been there. And it is very difficult when you don't feel worthy, and then when people treat you like you're not worthy,
Mhm.
um, you just take it.
Mhm.
I have finally overcome that in therapy. I've been through therapy 50,000 times. I'm in therapy right now. I feel like
Mhm.
we all need therapy. Like I said in the last episode, I feel like as Black American people, the trauma is in our DNA. So
Mhm.
even
It is. It
before,
really is.
yeah, even before our parents got to do anything, the trauma has already trickled down from slavery. Okay,
Mhm.
so I feel like we all need therapy, but I understand some people don't want to go to therapy. But I'm
Mhm.
gonna stay in therapy, and let me tell you how therapy, how pro therapy I am. If my therapist is not in therapy, I don't want you to be my therapist. I need you to be in therapy too, okay? Because we all need it. No matter how great we might think our childhood was, something was off somewhere. That's just my thought process. But yeah, I wonder how you think you could prevent, right? Not feeling worthy or holding on to self-worth, grasping and holding on to self-worth.
That's what I'm still working on it. That's what I'm trying to get through. Like even now, like my next venture, I want to go back to get my degree in nursing.
Okay.
And people have always told me for years, because with me always working the medical field, as a social worker, they're like, you should go back and get you. I think you'd be a good nurse. And number one, I have a weak stomach, so I'm like I'm not gonna be able to pass my clinicals. But I've met so many nurses. The girl, I can't take this, I can't take that. You will be fine. But it's still now is, but am I smart enough? Am I really going to, even though I managed to get 2 degrees already, am I smart enough to be a nurse? Am I good enough to be a nurse? Like you still have that self doubt that's in
Mhm.
the back of your head, and that's yeah.
Taraji, I love Taraji. Taraji calls her that chick in your head, but not the chick. She uses the B word. That chick in your head, you gotta tell her to shut up. Just shut up. And I think we all have that person in our head. It's just how we deal with it and make them shut up, right?
Mhm.
Um, but self worth for me, I worked that out in therapy, and I've gotten to the point now, and I'm not saying I'm completely over it. I still have a little bit of issue because if somebody treats me like I'm not worthy, my thing is to confront them. And I've always had an issue with confrontation. And I don't mean confront in a negative way. I mean, I'll come like, Marita, I have abandonment issues, right? So when people don't show up for me, that triggers me and it makes me feel like I'm not worth people showing up for me. If I ask you to show up for me and you agree to show up for me, I need you to show up for me. If you don't think you're going to be able to show up for me, then I need you to tell me to show up for me. And I set that boundary like, okay, I told you once, like don't do it again because now you're uninvited to everything.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So but just getting to that point of actually confronting them is
Mhm.
super super hard for me.
I just cut.
So,
I cut people off, and
mm,
I stopped. I used to be like, again, I have a very active social life. I used to always try to be at everything, support everybody, and I wasn't getting that in return. And
mm-hmm,
it wasn't until somebody pointed out to me. She said, "You do so much for so many people, but yeah, you don't get it back."
absolutely, I get it.
And it got to the point where I had to start putting me first. Like, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I can't do it. And
Mm-hmm.
especially if I have, there have been times when I've had like 4 to 6 events all in one day.
Oh wow.
And it's like how I narrow down what I'm, well, number one, which event am I going to enjoy the most? And two, if the tables were turned and I was having something, which one of them would be there for me?
Exactly.
And that's sometimes how I figure out what I'm going to do.
And so that leads us into the people pleasing part of it, actually, because that is absolutely people pleasing. Definitely showing up to people's events. I'm sure at times when you really didn't feel like it or didn't even want to
Mhm.
go, you're going to make sure that they are, you're pleasing people, right? And I feel like with abandonment issues, that's one of the things that is inevitable. I don't see how anybody could have abandonment issues and not have a people pleasing problem. But I mean, have you been conscious that you've had that people pleasing problem, or like when people pointed it out to you, is that when you became conscious of it?
I think, and I didn't even look at it as being people pleasing. It's
Okay.
just me. I like to do stuff, because
Mhm.
an idle mind is the devil's playground. If I'm busy, I don't have time to sit and wonder and think or let my mind go off into dark places. So I try to stay busy, but I just looked at it as, just me doing me. That's what I like to do. I like to be social, I like to go out, I like to have fun, but when I'm supporting people and they're not giving me that same support in return, it's like, whoa, okay.
Okay.
Mm.
See, for me, it's people pleasing, and I'm gonna tell you when I when I realized I was people pleasing, it was so crazy. That's why I'm laughing because I noticed people would say things to me like, "I'm gonna let you do ABC for me." Like, I'm gonna go ahead and let you braid my hair, Marita. I'm gonna go ahead and let you I'm gonna let you go ahead and drop me off. I'm gonna let you go ahead and that kind of thing. And it's like, and it had been going on my entire life. And
Mm.
I just realized it's probably a year or two ago that people were saying that to me. And when the person said it to me, I said, "Hold on, don't say you're gonna let me do anything as if me doing something for you is benefiting me."
Mhm.
And another person said it right after that. And I'm like, come on, y'all got to be kidding me. So now I'm like, I am people pleasing people to the point that they feel like me doing something for them is benefit is for me. It's gone way too far.
Mm.
It's gone beyond, okay? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
So I had to take a look and learn the word no. Like somebody said, no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And now I will say no. That's still hard for me too, though. I'm still working that one out. So, I mean, I don't know if you've had anything like that with the people pleasing.
I've let people, like, when I say I don't want to do something, well, come on, well, I've let people talk me into doing things,
Mm,
and then I regret it.
yes.
So I said from now on, it's like if I say no, the answer is no. I don't. If I say I don't want to go, accept the fact that I said no. Don't try to talk me into it. I'm not the life of the party anyway. I've never. I don't know anybody who ever thought, oh, this would have been so much fun if only Marita was here. No.
Oh, see, I'm the life of the party,
I'm
girl.
not.
Listen, I
I
come
just
through and
show
shut it
up, but I'm
down.
not the life of the party. So if I say no, I don't want to go somewhere. No, I don't want to do something. Just when people, well, come on, no,
No.
no,
N-O.
yeah.
Period. So now the last one on the list is the desperation. Have you experienced desperation? And while you're
Um.
thinking, I'll let you think. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about my desperation situation
Okay.
because it was very similar to the other situation. Like, I think I'm a Virgo, so I'll be oblivious to stuff a lot of times. But I had my second husband used to say, I don't worry, I'm never gonna leave you. And I would be looking at him cross-eyed, like, who said I was worried about you leaving me? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not. I mean, I probably would be hurt, but I'm not gonna be devastated. Life is not gonna end because you left me. We used to say it all the time, and like I said earlier, energy, right? I feel like we give off a certain energy. So I was like, I have to be giving off an energy of desperation, right?
Mhm.
And then I realized that's exactly what was happening because he was doing stuff to me um repeatedly. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. Yeah, no, that is giving off desperation. Me making you feel like I really need you. I never acted that way. I never said like, "Oh, I really need," you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so where's this coming from? So it's got to be that energy I'm giving off from the abandonment, right? Um, for him to think he has to keep reassuring me that he's never gonna leave me. I never said I was worried about you ever leaving me.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the desperation piece for me, and so that's why I had to really dig into healing my abandonment issues because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm desperate because I'm not.
Yeah, I think certain situationships that I've been in, I stayed in way longer than I should have.
Mhm.
Way longer.
Mhm.
Like, and that's one thing now. People like you quick to cut somebody off because I had to learn once, and that's also what did I read something actually of it. It said the red flags that you see in the beginning are usually end up being the reason you leave in the end.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And I saw like I ignore red flags or again listening to my friends. Oh, you're just again it's just your trauma. It's not just give them a chance. No, no, mm-mm.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
No, you gotta go.
Let me tell you how I know that's the truth because I had a man who who before we got married called my phone and asked for the other woman.
Mm.
We were living together. You called my phone and asked for the other woman. That if that wasn't that flag was on fire. Do you hear me burning hot red?
See,
That thing.
I've ignored red flags, sirens, flashing lights,
Come on, sis.
everything. And I'm like, at my big age, I can't do it anymore.
No,
No.
absolutely
If
not.
you don't I've said something to my cousin. She was like, "That's deep." Cuz it was the last situation I was in when I was like, "I'm done,"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he wasn't bringing any type of enrichment to my life. And
Right.
if you're not enriching my life in any type of way, what is the purpose of you being here? Like
Exactly.
you're not you don't come through it. You don't call no when I you pick up when I call no more. You text back when you feel like you don't. What are you doing?
Right.
Like I don't. And again, I don't know what it is. I think people think that I usually get guys who want me to chase after them. I don't know why. I think maybe I do give off desperate,
Mm-hmm.
but then once they see that I'm not about to, like, oh no, see, I'm sorry, and what had happened was, and I'ma change. Okay, that's great. You change for the next one, but I've moved on. Have a nice life.
My mama used to say, "You got more excuses than going to jail."
And that was him. Like he was, and that's what I said. I will never, from now on, if somebody asks me, "What are you looking for?" Just, just be genuine. I'm not telling
Yeah.
anybody what I'm looking for because you
Never.
will not do like I've been pretend to be that for
Mm-hmm.
several months. Then you show your true self, and I'm like, that I'm wasted all this time. Now I gotta get rid of you. You're
Exactly.
this is
So you got
not
to get
going
them. You
anywhere.
got to
Yeah,
give real. What's the word I'm looking for? Answers that aren't very
very
clear.
vague.
I'm looking
Yeah.
for very vague
Mhm.
answers. I'm looking for a real man. That's the kind of man I'm looking for.
Mhm.
Now you figure out what that is because if that ain't you, you're not gonna be able to pass the test for long.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is so good. So I would say, what do you think? I would ask rather, because now we got to get to the, the addressing part. What do you think is important in the healing process going forward when it comes to abandonment issues? Like if you were talking to somebody else who had abandonment issues, what do you think would be important?
Um. Uh. I got distracted. That's Marcia.
It's okay.
Um, let it go. I mean, it's one thing I can't go back and change it. And I felt like my wound got opened up. One thing when I did finally talk to my mother, she said, "Well, I can't go back and be a mother to that little girl. All I can do is be here for you now."
Oh, I love that.
And then she died
Oh,
while we were working on building our, yeah,
relationship.
working on, trying to build a relationship, and she had a heart attack and died. So
I
it was
am
like,
so sorry,
it was like,
Marita.
right when we're starting to we're building something, then you left me again.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
just had the conversation with my mom the other day because I was saying how I felt because my dad and I we did fix our relationship. I told him like, listen, I love because he was like Jekyll and Hyde, right? He would be
Mhm.
everybody loved him sober, and then as soon as he got drunk, everybody wanted to fight him. Everybody wanted to kill him. You know what I mean? He was that dude, and so I was like, Dad, when you are, he came to church while I was performing, pissy drunk. I said,
Mhm.
listen, Dad, I love you. When you're sober, I don't have a problem, but please do not come around me when you are drinking. And shortly after that, he just stopped drinking. I was like, I
Mhm.
wonder if I had any, if any, that conversation had anything to do with it, but I don't know. But the point is, I was telling my mom the other day, like, I'm still kind of upset, even though we got a good 20, probably 25 years of a great relationship. We grew so close before he died. But those years that I lost, like I
Mhm.
am still upset about that. And then I was like, you know what, April, you have to be grateful for what you had. And what you just said, not to, make your pain any worse, it just made me be more grateful because
Mhm.
that could be my situation. We did get to fix it. I don't want to cry. I'm about to cry. I brought tissues though. I did bring tissues. So for me, I think that moving forward with healing, the first thing is forgiveness, and forgiveness is a hard thing. But once you start forgiving people, it becomes easier and easier. And I was just having this conversation with a family member of mine, telling them like, you're forgiving people for you, not for them. I've forgiven so many people who have never apologized to me and who will never apologize to me, who have done horrible, horrible things to me. I mean, my ex broke in my house and S8 me, and let's just say he was not unarmed.
Mhm.
And I had to forgive that, and he never apologized and he's never going to, and that's fine. But the forgiveness is for me because what we have to do, for me at least, if you did something to me, I have to first say, Marita is a human being having a human experience, right? And Marita has issues based on what, we just talked about it.
Mhm.
My mom left me at home, and even though you're a well-rounded individual, you could have turned out a whole different way,
Mhm.
and you
Because
could
I
be
had got no supervision. I mean, I could have been out here doing
everything.
anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that I have to look at it like that. Like I am imperfect, you are imperfect. I make mistakes, you make mistakes. I just have to forgive you because I feel like if I don't, I'm giving you power over me because now I'm allowing you to control my emotions and that type of thing. So, for me, I think that forgiveness is the way forward to get your healing. That's the first step for me, and of course, therapy, like I said earlier, or watch the Melanin Medicine podcast. So yeah, I think it's the time for us to give each other our affirmations, so we can wrap. Uh, I know I got to think a little bit about mine. I don't know if you got to think a little bit about yours. But I'm still struggling with a couple of issues. I did tell you that. So
But you know what? My one of my favorite. It's funny because it comes from Saturday Night Live, but it's something that It's like I think I have it on my as my tag on Instagram.
okay,
It's I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
I'm good
Mhm.
enough. I'm
I'm smart
smart enough,
enough.
and
Hmm.
doggone it, people
People like
like
me.
me.
Yes.
I love that
I
one.
know, and it comes from an SNL skit, but it really sometimes saying that to myself gives me a little bit of because it's the truth. I am good enough, I am smart enough, and there are people like me. And
Absolutely,
it's
I
fun because
like you.
yeah, a lot of them people it's something because people like everybody likes you. No, I don't. No, they don't. I got literally a whole family of haters. Well, I don't do it.
Which means you all
Yeah,
that.
but I don't understand people. My haters is this for all my. I don't. look at my haters.
I love
got so
having
many
haters.
people who love me. Why pay attention to them?
Yes, I
Yeah.
love having haters. You wouldn't be hating on me if I was doing nothing
Yes.
with my life. You know what I mean? So yes, please hate boo. But let me see. I think that the affirmation I want to give you is I am worthy no matter what I hear in my head. Yeah, I might come up with something better. That one didn't land well. Hold on. Um oh, you a church girl.
I used to be. I need a new church home. That's another story.
I
All
know.
right.
I just found one and I've been searching for years. But yeah. Okay, well let's not go with that. I'm glad we can cut this. Let's see. Hmm. Mm. I am completely recovered from my hurt.
Yeah, I'll have to say that every day because I got a long way to go.
I am. I
I am
no.
completely covered from my hurt.
Yeah, I am completely recovered from my hurts because I have let go of them. That's it. We're letting it go. You have any final thoughts?
No, just thank you for having me. And this is part of my healing journey is to be more open and to share my experience and to, you know, just because you never know who might be out there suffering, who can relate, who feel like, they're alone. So, yeah, I'm working
Absolutely.
on being more transparent and hopefully my transparency can help somebody else.
Absolutely. I think it will. I think you're going to heal some people. I think you're going to set some people free today. I truly, truly thank you for being here and being so open because it's not easy to talk about these
Mm.
things, but you made it seem like a breeze. So, um, thank you so much, Miss Marita Wright. And thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you didn't, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and get over them commitment issues and hit that subscribe button and that bell. And we will see you in the next episode. Go be great.